in my dreams. Yeah. Yeah, I can do a D&D campaign in my dreams. When you did D&D, it was Saturday, Sunday, while everyone had school during the week. We did it all days, both days. That sounds like a lot of fun. We went to our friend's house Friday after school, stayed there all weekend. Really comes down to what you want to spend your time doing. If YouTube is more fun to you, do that. It's not it's not it's not about what's more fun for me. It's about how much time I believe something takes in order for it to reach the standard that I want it to be at. And so if my YouTube videos take 5 hours to, well, let me rephrase. Okay. This encounter report that I'm working on right now, we're gonna dive into this. Let's see. Not that. Let's see, I'm working on Tales of Symphonia right now. So I watched my playthrough. It was a 40-hour playthrough. I started on October 27th, and I finished watching my playthrough on November 4th. And during that time, I was logging encounters. I took about a week off from deciding what I wanted to do, because I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to actually do an encounter report for Tales of Symphonia, because I wasn't really feeling it. But with the Race to World First coming up, I can work on the encounter report while watching the race at the same time. So, and I don't want to start watching a new playthrough and have to pay attention to the Race to the World First at the same time. So this kind of lined up really well. So I started working on the Race to the World First, and I think I started working on the encounter report because of the Race to the World First. And I believe I started that last Friday or Saturday, and I'm still working on it. Like I have to watch other people's VODs to do this encounter report, and the person that I'm watching right now, their playthrough is like 77 hours. Remember, I only spent 40 hours on this game. This person's it's like 77 hours, and you know it's time consuming. Sure, I get to skip around and things like that. I get to watch at times 2 speed, but the extra time that I get from my work, you know, sometimes I might have like a couple of hours to put into something else. I put that towards that encounter report. I still have minimum one other person for this encounter report, and their playthrough is like 68 hours or something like that. So like encounter reports, they, realistically speaking, they take anywhere from like 2 to 4 weeks to do if I'm working on them every day. And that includes spending like 16 hours a day on the weekends. You know, it's just really time consuming. And then that's just watching those playthroughs and collecting the data. Then I actually have to make the video, and then I have to write the script, and then I have to record the script, and then I have to do like the actual video, render it out and stuff like that, put all the stuff, line everything up, and then render it. You know, like this is a time consuming process, and that's just one video. It's probably going to be like 8-9 minutes long at most, you know. and then I move on to the next one. It's that's just how it goes. Oh, all right, I'll tell you. You don't know what an encounter report is? You can only assume world first is something like WoW hardcore server raids or something. The race to world first is for World of Warcraft. Every time a new raid comes out for the retail version of the game, the top guilds in the world race to beat the last boss, and that's basically what the race to world first is. It's like a community event, and it's cool. You get to see them fight it's like 20 people trying to fight this boss that nobody's ever fought before, or not at this like difficulty, and they try to be the first one to take it on. But the encounter report, just to plug my YouTube channel, because I never do that. YouTube. If you go to my hobby videos YouTube channel, the encounter report is basically I watch my playthrough and then a couple other people's playthroughs, and I log all the encounters that they did. And it's basically a video of me comparing our playthroughs together based off of all the encounters that we did, and how we did, and how like that could affect other things. It's just it's basically a video about statistics, or it's like a video with charts and stats and stuff like that without the charts. Probably not very interesting to a lot of people, but if you ever wanted to know how many encounters a game has, or maybe you thought to yourself like, man, this game had a ton of encounters when I played it, this kind of offers a little glimpse into, like, hey, this game, you're going to be spending 20% of your playtime doing encounters, or this game, you're spending 50% of your playtime doing encounters, or something like that. I find it incredibly fascinating. It's just a very time-consuming video to work on, and sometimes like I do feel the little burnout for it, because you walk in to it and you're like, yeah, I spent 40 hours on this playthrough. The next person's gonna spend like 40 hours on this playthrough. It's gonna be great. And then you go to look at the other person's playthrough, and you put in all their times, and it turns out they're at 80 hours. And you're like, what the heck did you spend 80 hours doing in this game? And so, like, you go into it a little defeated, because you're like, this suckafoo. I know this is not my first playthrough of the game, but you're doubling my time. There's not that much content in this game for you to be spending 80 hours into it. What are you doing? And it's crazy. Later on, Trails of Cold Steel 4. All right. I spent 100 hours in that game. There was one person that I scouted. They had spent over 220 hours in that game. 220 hours. What the suckafoo did you do? I mean, that's a long game. There's a ton of, if you go talk to all the NPCs all over again, and all that other nonsense, like, sure, there's certainly 220 hours worth of stuff to interact with. But holy cow. I I I I have to put myself through that. If I were to log that person's encounters, I'd have to go through 220 hours of of VODs and logging encounters. And like that stuff can be pretty draining. For the 4 Trails of Cold Steel, like the series, I've been going about it in a way where I kind of want to bring over as many people as possible from one video to the next. And so like I want to see how our approach differs from one game to the next until the end of it all. But I did 5 people total, counting myself, for the first Trails of Cold Steel. And some people were at like 100 hours in that game. And I think I was at like 30 or 40 because it was a second playthrough. And like it just kind of gets ridiculous sometimes. So like there just might be a time where, I have to start cutting people because I'm going through, like if I were to keep 5 people and everybody's doing 150 hours for the Trails of Cold Steel games, like it would just get out of control. And I don't want to go through all that. One guy playing Xenogears right now is like 110 hours. Oh my gosh. I believe I read all the dialogue that I came across in Xenogears, and it was still only like 60 hours for me. Upper end of 60 hours, I think. Your longest Xenogears run was over 450 hours. What the heck? You know someone who couldn't beat Gideon in Elden Ring for months? That's actually the other thing. I was talking to Crayson about this because I guess we're just not going to be playing this game right now. I was talking to Crayson because I had logged his encounters for Persona 5, and he did so much grinding, an unbelievable amount of grinding. I don't think anybody else did grinding except for him. And when I was watching his playthrough, I like it didn't make any sense to me. It's like, this is literally the first dungeon of the game. Like, why are you grinding? There's no reason to grind right here. Our conversation reminded me of a interaction we had in the past where we were talking about like the value of an encounter based off of where you are in the game and like how they're weighted differently. And I really saw that play out for this particular section of his playthrough, is that he spent so much time grinding in the beginning of the game. And I tracked money and I tracked experience for Persona 5. So I could see how much money and how much experience he got from that grinding in comparison to other areas of the game. And like, it just wasn't worth it. But that's just one of those aspects that you go into a game with prior knowledge, effectively. If you had a really rough time in Persona 4, you're going to go into Persona 5 with similar outlooks, like, okay, I had a rough time in the beginning, let me make sure that I'm not going to have such a rough time in the beginning. But not all games are going to be constructed in exactly the same way as the previous one. And that's something that I think all gamers will struggle with, including myself. I'll go into one game, and then the next game I want it to be basically, effectively the same with, changes and things like that. So that's just, it is what it is. Well, we all know it can't be Crayson. Yeah, Crayson hasn't played Tales of Symphonia for the tour yet. And I don't think it's gonna happen in time for me to get him on for the Tales of Symphonia Encounter Report. We were playing a Twitch Play Xenogears last night. Took you 4 hours to get through Doc's house. Oh my gosh. 450-hour save is a lowest possible level run. So you could max... stat max some characters. Always put a soft limit on your grinding. To if it takes more than 10 encounters per level up, you move on. That's an interesting way to approach it. I feel like Crayson has just influenced a lot of what I do nowadays. Granted, like, I was already more or less in this camp, but I grind when I feel it's necessary, or I grind when there's something that I really want. Outside of that, I don't really want to go out of my way to grind anything, because one, it's not fun, like 99.9% of the time, and two, it's you're sinking time into something to overcome some sort of challenge or barrier or goal or whatever, and usually that time is just not worth the sink. I've spent hours fighting bosses, final bosses in games, and the thought of, well, I'd probably have to grind for this has come to mind. And, when that thought comes to mind, it's like, well, I could set this game down. Terranigma was one of those games. I actually think I could have beaten the final boss without grinding. But, it is what it is. Brigantia lies ahead. It is a fearsome beast. When the undersea city was in its prime, they captured it by freezing the water around it. You might be able to get it from behind, of course. You'll have to freeze that area. Brigantia has run amok once before. The folks of the fairy realm helped us then. Brigantia was once a gentle soul, but once he was tainted by oblivion, he transformed into a vicious folklore. The king of the undersea city once resided in the Forgotten Palace. Wondrous collection of the king's elixirs and treasures are hidden in that palace. Bet those that are after the treasure will ask you to help them. You find the third folklore, Brigantia. Its existence is key to opening the seal of Baral. Forks in the roads in the Netherworld always represent big decisions. I'm going to save again. There's this guy on Reddit trying to get level 99 on Xenogears in the first screen of Black Moon Forest. Your math puts it over 9,400 hours to complete it at the rate he's going. That's a lot of time to be spending on one game. For like a challenge that offers no benefit, no reward, no nothing basically. It's just like self-satisfaction, I guess. You know, the fact that like, yeah, I did it. Whoops. Do damage to me? Oh. You love grinding? It feels or if it feels rewarding. Okay. Nice little clarification there, because I read that as it feels rewarding, and I was like, oof. Like if you get something for it, when there is no progress, it gets old real fast. But it's never been a I need to do this to progress thing for you. Wow, you must be very fortunate in the games that you have played. There's definitely been games that I've played where it's like this, it is absolutely necessary for me to grind right now. And those are the games that I don't like. Luminous Arc, which is coming out on YouTube tomorrow. Well, starting to come out on YouTube tomorrow. Luminous Arc, when I reached the final boss, I was concerned. I was very concerned. Alrighty, let's check out About. Okay, so we need those guys to freeze your tail, and then we need those guys to chop off your body parts. We need that guy, I guess, to freeze your head when it's only the head, and then we blast you out of the sky with that guy. Wow. I think this is the first encounter where we need four dudes. Alright, so we have you. It's you. And you. I am missing... Sitchup. Hole in the center is not great. Where'd the box go? for bubbles. Bubbles are right in front of me. I see the bubbles. Boss. I don't like this boss. I didn't like this boss in Ellen's route. I don't like this boss now. Uh, 9,400 hours is a solid year of just playing. A guy did level 99 in First Reactor of Final Fantasy VII. That was only 500 years to complete. Yeah, like that stuff. The challenge runs, let's get over here. Bugaboo. Challenge runs, speed running, like all that stuff. Those people are far more dedicated than I am. Wait, are you still... No. It's gonna hit me? Nope. You often... I was gonna say, that looks a little dicey. You often watch people on here playing RPGs and get stuck on bosses. I'll get there in a second. Okay, maybe I don't need to shoot him with ice anymore. Le question mark? Alright. So you often watch people on here playing RPGs and they get stuck on bosses and they always say, I need to go grind a bit more to beat this. And you just give them a different strategy and they win first try. Most games can be beaten even at level 1 or at very low levels. Grinding is almost never required. I disagree with that. Not on a factual level, but change of heart. Yes, I'm not going to the swamp. I see. I just didn't want the doctor to suffer, but things are settled now. Yes, and all for the better. Why should you care? I sent Ellen instead. What happened between you and the doctor? Nothing. He was killed. There must be a reason. Dr. Lester wasn't scared of my condition. He stayed with me until the end, nothing more. Keats, I have a favor to ask. Dr. Lester wrote a will. Make sure Miss Lester does not see it. Really? Why not tell Ellen? I don't wish to involve her further. Please, if anything happens to Ellen, you must help her. Stage looks different, but same boss? That is correct. Different stage, same boss. Well, yeah, same boss, slightly different way to fight the boss. But more or less the same style of fighting the boss. I downed the Folklore, that makes 3 now. So you want to go to the Netherworld core. Ellen chased after the boy, as I expected. I could ask her about it back in the real world. That's why I wanted to keep on searching, but it seems I was on the wrong track. From here on, you'll need to watch yourself. Why me? I don't have anything to do with you. That's not it. He's probably upset because he isn't able to manipulate you like he can his subjects. The Fairy Lord is wary of humans other than Ellen reaching the Netherworld core. But I'm a mischievous sort. And when I hear things like that, I get interested. I'm not saying that... So, like, for grinding... Also, hey, Noah the Otter. Grinding is... What's a good way to put this? Like... Sure, there are a lot of games out there. Maybe even, 90% of games out there. Like maybe what you wrote is like factually correct. Most games, well, no, actually you wrote most games can be beaten at level 1 or at very low levels, which I don't agree with, but I think there are definitely games out there that require grinding. Take, for example, and I'm just anecdotally throwing out examples. Like Disgaea, for example. Sure. A speedrunner or someone who is has a very intimate knowledge of the game could beat it at low levels or with little to no grinding. But the average player, they are probably going to grind the heck out of that game because, like, that's the option that has presented itself to solving their current problem. I it I can't think of the games that come off the top of my head that have required grinding from me. But I will say that there's plenty of games out there. I would say probably the majority of games that I've played, if not like the super majority, have not required grinding. I grinded in Arc Rise Fantasia because I wanted to mess around with the arms. I grinded in Ni no Kuni because I wanted to level up familiars and like capture familiars that I'd never caught before. Those are two of the ones that come off the top of my head. Yeah. I will say that there are games out there like Xenoblade Chronicles, for example. There are games out there that present challenges to you that will encourage you to grind as well. People need to use their brains more. Grinding is the mindless option, but also the most time-consuming. It kind of depends. It really depends. Sometimes the way a boss is constructed, it's not as simple as like I need to try something new, because they may have tried something new throughout that encounter, and maybe that encounter is not as scripted as it could be, so maybe you just have to get lucky in a couple of spots. For me in Luminous Arc 2, I think I had to get lucky like 25 turns in a row. That's a gross exaggeration, of course, but like there were key moments where I needed something specific to happen, and I feel like one of the reasons I beat the final boss when I did is because the boss chose to do an action that was not what I anticipated doing and actually gave me the advantage I needed and the extra push to then beat the encounter. And there's been moments like that. Arc Rise Fantasia was one of those. I spent like 5 hours on that final boss. Final Fantasy 13 2. I spent like 4 hours on that final boss. I didn't grind for either of those bosses, but like there are bosses out there where it's just like this is so frustrating, and it's not that grinding is like the only solution they can think of. It's that this boss is so frustrating to fight. I'd rather go grind out 10 more levels, as an example, and then come back and then just beat the boss easily than to continue playing against this boss in the way that I have been. I think that is sometimes people's approach, because I've felt that way on numerous occasions. Saw a guy fighting, I don't even know who that is. for 3 days, 5-hour streams. He had no equipment options and no other party members leveled up or upgraded. He was about to go farm a lot of money to upgrade. Gave him a turn-by-turn, do this with these characters and you will win, and he won first try. Way underpowered. Well, like, that scenario is very different. So you're basically presenting a scenario of this player can seek out a guide on how to beat a boss, and maybe they don't mind, maybe they were already going to do that, who knows the circumstances around that, but not all players are going to approach challenges in the same way. And so, like, if a player has tried, like, if that player spent 15 hours on the boss, to me, I get the impression that they have tried multiple different strategies. And I feel like at that point, if once you've exhausted your strategies, what else are you going to do? If you're playing blind, it's not like you can just say like, okay, I'm going to go look things up or something like that. What else is there to do? 15 hours on a boss is a long time. Really long time. I probably would have started grinding before 15 hours. I'm just throwing that out there. He was using guides. Guides expect him to be overpowered or powered up properly. He kept trying the same thing over and over. Oh, okay, well then there's your problem. Even myself, if I die to a boss, like that's the moment of reflection of like, okay, was what I was doing working? And did I just get unlucky? Or, maybe I was supposed to be defensive for that final turn and instead I didn't, or maybe I was supposed to be defensive like 6 turns ago and that just cascaded me down the wrong path. And then I go into the next fight with an updated strategy, maybe very, very similar or something like that, but like, it's rarely is it very like carbon copy. I'm gonna do the exact same strategy over and over and over and over again, bashing my head until I win. Usually you're gonna make adjustments. So if you're not making adjustments, then yeah, that is a problem. But who knows? You get through games quicker than most people. You use your brain. You do minimal grinding. You pay attention when games tell you things. I forget things, though. I have a horrible memory. Very, very horrible memory. Oh, yeah, okay. Mythic is today. All right. I'm going to save here. I'm going to finish this chapter, hopefully, and then we're going to call it quits for today. Did a lot of talking. Thank you, Mr. Message. I saw the grinding is important, especially in the club. I saw that message. So here's a glimpse into my mind, or not necessarily my mind, but what happens with chat is generally I will read your message before I say your message out loud. But if I get distracted before I read your message out loud, but after I read it in my head, then I will believe that I had already read your message, and then I won't go back to it. And that happens more than you think. Okay. The church. Can I get in? You don't go deep into it like speedrunners do, but you definitely use more strategy than just grinding out levels to progress. Well, I will definitely say that, like, I don't go into bosses with strategies because, you know, what do I know what a boss is going to do? But you know, I definitely take note of what's happening in the boss, what killed me, you know, what mistakes I made and what could have gone better, and then I use that information to progress deeper into the boss fight and hopefully win. He has to pre-read so he can censor himself from saying bad words. Well, I don't know if censor myself is really how I would put it. But I guess that is what I do, I suppose. I forget who has the key. I think it's Home Chick Slice over here. No one's in. That's odd. Where could Miss Lester have gone off to? Apparently the hag was seen 17 years ago, too. Say that she's the one who killed the lighthouse keeper. Makes sense. It was just a dumb joke anyway. I like the joke. The hag is an old woman who is said to live in the caves around this area. Sounds like a fairy tale witch. Yeah, I forget who... Or, I don't know where Home Chick Slice is. When I was young, I looked to the occult, but no longer. Now I believe in nothing but science. No such thing as a hag. There is a murderer loose. I'll tell you more soon. You like it and respect it? It's not a bad thing? Wow. You might be the first person to say something like that. I think a lot of people just think it's weird. Why does he say soccer food so much? I'm actually going to go over here. I think I have about 30 minutes until the Race of the World first starts, so I can do a little bit of experimentation to see where this person's at. And you like this too? You're Buzz Aldrin, first man to step on the moon. Kneel before me. There's an Eminem lyric that I really, really like. And it goes something along the lines of, I might be paraphrasing here. I'll get to doing what a leaky faucet do, but I ain't talking drip when I say I'll get the drop on you. I like that one a lot. It's one of my favorite bars from Eminem. Just a low-life thug. I think that's from Phenomenal. No. That is from... Oh, she's inside the church, isn't she? I think that's where we found her with Ellen. I think that's from, Not Alike, I think. Maybe. Now, door is unlocked. Looks like someone was just here. You go and learn. Same album, I think. Close enough. No, actually, that's not the same album. No, it is not. Indeed, the doctor really did have a will. Considered suicide, but was soon killed. Dear Teresa, 17 years ago, I set off a chain of events that caused much misery. I am certain that the latest deaths are related. Cannot bear the weight and will take my own life. Sorry for the pain I have caused you. Thank you for not once assailing my silence. All my love, Roger. He caused the deaths of all those villagers. Question mark. But how? Medical mishap or something else entirely? And who killed him? All right, here we are. I think anyone who tries to be better than the minimum of what's required is respectable, especially when it's personal choice and not because of what others expect of them. I wish more people that I have met have had that perspective when I tell them things. Because, you know, like, back when I was in college, one of a friend of mine that I had met in college, he took me to some eating place or whatever, and we were sitting at the bar, and he's like, I'm gonna order you a drink. And I was like, oh, I don't drink. And he's like, you don't drink? Why don't you drink? And I was like, I just don't want to drink. And he's like, that's not the real reason, you know, like there has to be a reason, there has to be a legitimate reason why you don't drink. And I'm just like, I just don't drink. Like, it just doesn't interest me. I just don't drink. He's like, it's going to be my life goal to, you're going to drink by the time we graduate. And I was just like, good luck with that. And, you know, he lost. But, you know, like, people just, they always assume that there's this powerful ulterior motive of, you know, why I don't do something. And it's just like, why can't it just be that I just don't want to do it? You know, that's reason enough for me. Actually, a solid album. Alfred's theme has some crazy schemes on it. There's several tracks from Music to Be Murdered By that I dig, definitely. I still think Kamikaze is a good album. I don't know why people hated on that album as much as they did. Give me a Kamikaze 2. Come on. Get unkamikaze into the Kamikaze. All right. Anyways, this is where I'm going to wrap it up for today. Again, it's the Race to World First. Shorter streams. You know, sorry, not sorry, but I really want to watch it. And stuff. But I'll be back Monday, 7 a.m. Pacific, for some more folklore. There was one on Alfred's theme that was all bowling, you think, because the gutter's where my mind is at. And when it's in this frame, better split it like the 5 and the 10, because without a second to spare, I'm striking again, and when the beat is up my alley, I go right for the pins. Side note, there was a Dead End Hip Hop did a like a hip hop report card, which I think is a really fantastic idea, on Eminem, and a lot of them, it's personal opinions, of course. They would give Eminem like somewhere between like a 6 and an 8 or something like that for lyricism, and I was like, really? I feel like of all the people that I know that rap, I feel like Eminem is one of those rappers where there's always something else in the lyrics. Like you could listen to it 10 times in a row and you will still not catch every entendre or reference or something like that that's in there. There's always something else to catch, it feels like. And I think that that's a very special power that he has that not a lot of people out there have. And so, my score for Eminem, if I did a report card, might end up at the same score, but for lyricism, I would definitely rank him with like a 9 or a 10 or something like that. Sure, not all of his lyrics are, the best. There are some stinkers in there every now and then, or maybe even more than every now and then. But there's always a quality to his bars that other people don't have, and I think that's cool. But yeah, I need to get out of here before this race starts. So see ya the next time I see you. Peace.